Welcome to The Marketing Show with Megan Moore, the podcast that delves deep into the world of marketing, exploring its evolution, featuring industry experts, and providing invaluable resources, tips, and so much more. Whether you're a business owner, an inspiring entrepreneur, or simply curious about marketing, you've come to the right place. So that's sort of what I wanted to talk about. And I looked over the questions and I still love them. And I feel like they're perfect for this conversation because I really am curious, like from deep down. I've watched you, and I say follow, but I do feel like we know each other. So it's kind of like we know each other. But I think it was like 2018, even before then. And so I want to hear, like, what was your evolution from then to now? Because now you're just like, the light is on you, the curtain is open, the stage is set, and it's like, here you are, and you can't not watch you. Like I look at your stories and I watch you, and I look at your content and I watch you, and I check on your website and I check on your pricing and I check on this, and I'm like, okay, I can't be the only one. So what was the evolution? And you can go way back or you can start now.
Oh my gosh. It's so funny when I see the Facebook memories and how it used to be, where it was like 2012. So we're 11 years in. So 2012, it was like, sign up for a health coaching session, $150, lose weight. And then like a picture of like a tree. And I was like, oh my, but I was like, wow, I really put myself out there.
Yeah. You did.
Like I didn't care. I didn't know any different, but I did it. You know, that's the red thread throughout the whole thing, is that no matter what, no matter having a graphic designer, no matter knowing what I'm doing on Canva, like doing has always been my best friend.
Doing, you know, in 2012, I don't even think Canva was a thing either.
No, I don't think so either.
I can't remember what we were using for graphics and creating our own content, but I have to tell you a funny story. I used to look at your content when I started stepping into the health coach space and say, I want to do it like this. And then when I started having my own clients to help them, support them in their journey, I had some clients say, I want to do it like she's doing it. That's you.
What?
Like, yeah. And I just wrote her name down because she sent me your Facebook, and you had this beautiful trade show booth, and it was pink, and you were selling your stuff, and that's the picture she sent me. And I was like, shut up. I have
That's sweetheart.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, what I have had so many different trade shows that I'm like, I wonder which one it was, and like, you know, what spoke to her. That's what I feel like. That's what I'm always interested in, is like, so when you're talking about marketing, in my mind, it's energy marketing. It's intuitive marketing. It's like, when I think about how I feel, I want to put a picture on there that evokes the emotion and the energy of how this offering is for me. So with Worthy of Wealth, the song that I chose with it, I'm like, I can get behind that song. I'm like, it fills me up with just like, whoa, like lightning energy of, we're going to make moves. It's going to be intense. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exhilarating. It's going to be transformative. So then I pick a song that matches that. And then the image to me is always like, it has to have a wow factor, like like you're going to turn your head and be like, wow. Because when I got it from my graphic designer, that's when when I see it, I'm like, whoa, like what she's able to create.
Yeah.
And so there's an energy that goes into it. And this is something I've learned through so many years, is if you are not excited about it, you won't market it and you won't sell it. If it's something that feels like you should sell it because you have a health coaching certification, you should sell detoxes, but you don't really want to, those are going to be so much harder to sell than something that you're like, that's why I always say to everyone I work with, fuck your credentials and your certifications. What does your heart want to deliver? Like, what is and then I listen, like, I'm such a frequency picker upper. So when they're talking and they're like, I'm good at this, but and I'm like, wait a sec. And then I slough all the other stuff away. I'm like, I don't care about anything you said and up until this moment right here, because your frequency, everything changed in that moment. And they're like, but do you think always it's, do you think I could really do that? Do you think I could build a business from that? And I'm like, yes. And it has nothing to do with what is my audience going to want? It's what do you love doing?
Yeah.
Because it's contagious. It's like, it's so simple when you break it down.
So I want to talk about that a little bit because I'm hearing you say, you know, a lot of people are doing the things because they should be doing them. And then really that pivotal moment is what's that magic piece that your heart is going to be in it and you're going to fall asleep thinking about it and all that stuff. So what do you think happened with your business? At what point did you start to pick up that frequency for yourself? And like that's what I want to know. Like where
Oh yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I follow whenever I'm really lit up. Whenever, like, if I get full body goosebumps, I'm like, oh, like I'm always like, oh, that's a sign. It's telling me to do something. And I knew I was getting burnt out of health coaching. And I love the transformations. And I was so happy when they would email me and be like, because it was all natural weight loss. There wasn't any gimmicks. There wasn't any dieting. It was all natural. So I felt so rewarded in that position, but I was getting bored of it. And I was like, what is coming up next? Like I didn't know. But then when I started talking about what I'm like, okay, well, beyond all the weight loss stuff. And what I noticed was they were losing weight and they were emerging. Like this invisible cloak was coming off of them. And then they started talking about like, now I have this idea for a business. I want to get your input. And I was like, and then I found myself I was like, oh my God, I would love to help you with your business because I'm an idea generator. You tell me what you're thinking about and I'll come up with like 10 offers for you. I'll know the title, the tagline. I'll see the image of it. I just it's one of my gifts is just idea generator. And yeah, I was just like, I always follow the excitement. Mm-hmm. And then, so now it's like, now I knew that gift activation was it was coming to not a close, but an intertwinement with wealth consciousness because I am fascinated by wealth and money and the energy of it. And I'm like, what is it? Like it can be so easy to create. And then there's times when your doubts come up and if you can dissolve them using actual proven concepts of brain retraining, it's fascinating. You can create money from nowhere and like it literally starts pouring in. And I'm like, if I can make it pour in for me and I can help clients do that for themselves, I'm like, this is a timeless program. Mm-hmm. This is something I can continue to add on to. How would you not want this? Is what like.
Okay, so let's think back to those days with the trade show days, because I did trade shows too. The 12 hours on your feet and 12 hours of teaching bar classes and all that.
Uh-huh.
When you think back to that, like what were some of the first prices that you were charging?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I was like, probably the workshops were like maybe $25.
Yeah.
Maybe. But like, even during the pandemic, I was teaching bar from my kitchen and it was like, maybe, I can't remember if it was like 12 or $15 a class. Or it was like buy it for, but that was more fun. Like I wasn't doing it for money. It was just like, I knew that if they paid, they would come. Because I know that if it's free, you're not going to come. So it doesn't benefit anyone and has to be an equal energy exchange. And so there were 10 or 15 people coming. And I felt like that was an equal energy exchange. Like, yeah. I didn't have professional, but thinking back on like yoga classes, bar classes, I never got into it for the money. It was always like, I wanted freedom. And so, everything goes back to, I don't want a boss. I don't want anyone like, I love mentors advising me, but I don't want anyone telling me what to do. And that was even hard in a gym because it was like, can you sub? And I'm like, I don't want to sub. But then I felt forced into subbing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we are not meant to be bossed around by anybody.
We have so many similarities. Like I'm hearing you talk. I think my first bar class was $8. And I used to say,
Uh-huh.
not really doing this for the money, but at the core, at the pit,
Hmm.
was freedom. It was like
Yes.
the entire
Yes.
like mission was just freedom for
Mhm.
me, freedom for my kids, freedom of time, all that stuff. And
Yes.
so what would you say is the same? What did you do in marketing then that you still do in marketing today?
Mm. I talk to before me sometimes.
Right.
Right. I talk to transformation point A
Right.
instead of transformation point B. Sometimes I still talk to one person. If there's one person I'm like, I really want in the program, I will speak directly to her.
Yes, like,
Right?
hey, so let's get really specific about that. So you're talking about before you. So
Yes.
what do you mean by that?
So I mean that when I'm for Worthy of Wealth, because it's what I'm launching, so what it's on my mind. So when I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking of me who didn't think that my bills and my income would never be different. Like I was really great at attracting money, but I didn't realize that I was used to a certain level in my checking account and that it could expand.
Oh, I love that. So when you're marketing, now
Mhm.
you're talking
Yes.
to you, let's say 6 months ago, a year ago.
Yes.
And then when you were doing the same thing for your fitness and health coaching,
Uh-huh.
you were marketing to
Exactly.
perfect. That's genius.
Yes. Hmm.
And when you're talking to that one person, do you actually visualize like a Sarah or a Joanne?
I someone that I know. Like it could be a past client or it could be a friend
Mhm.
who is going through a struggle. Like I have friends that'll they'll call me. I'm taking the bath or I'm in the bath and then I had one friend call me and she's like, I'm freaking out. And she was like having an anxiety attack. And so I was like, all right. So I put her into like a RRT, like rapid resolution therapy. And she's been having back to back panic attacks for like, she said 2 weeks straight. And I knew that within 20 minutes I could help her. And so I put her into like I was speaking directly to her unconscious. And by the time I got out of the bath, she was like, oh my God. And I knew that in that state of neutrality, when you reach that state of neutrality and the brain stops looping, it goes more solution based. And
Mhm.
it's like, what can I create from this? And now she just started a new sales job and the goal was 20 to sell 20 of these things. And she sold 48 her first month. And
Shut
I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, it's because her body's in a state of neutrality. She's not in fight or flight. Like, she's not in a trauma response. She's in a solid state. And only then you can attract something beyond. I mean, it's magic, but it's like science.
Yeah, it's that we'll talk about manifesting a little bit because I know
Mhm.
that's a huge component
Yes.
of everything we do. But
Yes.
I watch a lot of people on the internet. Um, and we do get a lot of requests where it's like, I'm not selling anything. I need your help. And my response now is, fuck no. Like I do.
No, I'm like, how would you help them market what then?
Yeah. So I'm wondering when you sort of talk to that one person, do you work on moving her from fight or flight in your marketing? Or do
Mm,
you attract that
no.
person? Okay, yeah. So tell me about that. Like, who are you speaking to?
I'm speaking to the person who already has a business, who's already making money, who has done some work already, who knows that she is meant for more. Like she's like, I'm pretty successful, but I know I could go to the next level. And that's what I'm working with. And like under the covers,
Mhm.
I know that what we're going to be working on is worthiness. We're going to be working on certainty, confidence, how to show up more effectively, how to speak more effectively, how to not hide behind the visibility wound. Like I know all those things we're going to be doing on, but I know also to speak to desires. So desires will forever be to make more money.
Mhm.
It will forever be to make more money because if you're freedom based and if you're freedom driven like we are, we want as much freedom as possible and having more money equals freedom.
Absolutely.
So that it will never go out of style. Like unless our currency changes to something else, which I don't see happening, but who knows with friggin' Elon Musk.
Yeah, like who knows now, but
Yeah, I mean, like it just, you know, if you have big vision for your life, you're not willing to settle into any income bracket. You're limitless.
yeah. Isn't it wild? I don't know much about your childhood or growing up, but those income brackets were just
Mm.
talked about so much. And
All the time.
yeah, like work, I was told work for the government, work for the city. This is how much you'll make. This is how much you'll retire with. And just from like a super young age, I was like, but why? Like that's confuses me, right? Like
Yes.
when you were growing up, did you know that you would be like an entrepreneur, a business owner, a CEO?
Mm. I mean, I had such learning disabilities that like I had such trouble in school, and I always would rather stay in the bathroom talking to a girl who was having an issue. Like I would miss, like I remember in high school, I would miss classes because someone would be crying in the bathroom and I'd be like, fuck class. You know, or like if I had homework, I'd rather talk to someone on the phone who was going through something. Like it wasn't because it didn't come easy to me, but communication always, it did because I mean, I think if you're a successful business owner, like you have to truly, genuinely love people.
Oh,
Even if you think you don't, like you love people and you want to help them. You want to help them because there's like a part of you you can see in everybody.
mm-hmm,
You
mm-hmm,
know, and you're like, if I've healed that part of me and I see that I can heal that part for you, then I'm going to do everything I possibly can. I'm
yeah.
going to dig into my toolbox of everything I've learned, of every certification I've taken. And also at the same time, like, I'm going to get, yeah, I'm like kind of into this right now where it's not go and get another certification. It's get really fucking good at what you already have. Like, that's why I'm constantly taking more certifications to become like the expert of the unconscious
Mm,
and like how to speak to it because I see it being something that's evolving right now, but I'm like, man, if I could blow up being the expert of unconscious and talk about
mhm.
it, like you're saying, like manifestation, healing, all the things that we love and care about, then the sky is truly the limit.
So would you think my brain is I have so many
I
questions.
love it. I love it.
I'm in the bathroom with you in high school and I'm thinking about like just seeing you there and I can picture and I'm thinking marketing equals helping people.
Yes.
And you have been helping people since high school, probably before, or on the phone instead of doing homework. And
Yes.
that's a gift, right? Like that. So do you think that every entrepreneur has that gift? And
Yes.
okay, so how do they activate it? How do they like find it instead of focusing on I have to follow these marketing strategies and I have to do this? How do they activate that gift?
So usually their gifts are so close that they're very hard to see. Unless you start telling a story about your life, I'm probably not going to pick up on it because that's what I believe is my gift is seeing those commonalities and then being like, oh, she's been so good at this. And it's so natural to her that she is like searching outside of herself to figure out that thing she's good at because she's too close. So if she could zoom out and just look at like, what is her life? What are the common themes that come up? So like right in the last 10 years, boundaries has been such a giant one. And it is my most challenging like issue because my heart is so forgiving and it doesn't like to hold on to grudges. And yet, if I don't put those boundaries, then I leak energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I know I'm good at communicating and I know that, but I also know that people can mistake my kindness for weakness, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like if you're thinking about your life and what are the things that come up that you're like, oh, I thought I healed from that. I thought I figured that one out. Damn it. You know, like, and writing them down.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'm such a big proponent of pen to paper. It's so much different. Like, and then speaking, if you don't have long-term mentorship, I don't know how you have a business. Like, I don't understand. And, you know, I have different coaches for different things, but if I didn't have someone I could express my, like, things I don't want anyone to know about me, where I can really take my mask off and be like, fuck, why is this happening? You know, and like, whether it's business, whether it's personal, you have to have more than a therapist, someone who is an entrepreneur who understands the many roller coasters we go on. Like, if you don't have it, I don't get it.
Yeah, and it's the classic, like, like when you say you're too close, it's like you're like
Yes,
this.
exactly.
The problem or the issue or the boundary keeps hitting you in the face,
Mm-hmm.
literally sometimes. And
Yes.
until you kind of find people who you can communicate with and they're going to allow that space, that safe space for you. Yeah, like absolutely. And I think that's powerful for your gifts too, because your gift could be right in front of you.
It is. It always is.
And then, you know, do you find as you get quote unquote older,
Yeah.
you have a more difficult time with releasing, like the closeness just keeps staying there? Do you see that with people and business owners, or do you find, because I look at the younger people and they don't have that there, it's like their gifts are just everywhere and it's so cool to see.
Mm.
But when I start looking at people who are, you know, approaching 40, I'm
Mm.
like, is your gift buried lower, or is it
Mm.
just like, I'm so curious and I wish I could communicate this better because that's what I'm
No,
thinking.
I get exactly what you're saying. And it's not the same for every person. Like,
Okay.
it's not determined by age, it's determined by like life experience and trauma. And unhealed trauma really is a block. It's like, and I think that's why I'm loving this new program, because, and I'm not, this isn't like a plugging or anything. This is true, genuine, like, love for the energy of it, is because you, you can't run on fumes.
Yeah.
And, you know, until you like come into that state of neutrality and healed space, then it's like all the solutions come in. And if you keep resisting and if you stay in that constant, like, little itty bitty shitty committee that continually, like, I don't even have her anymore. She might pop up occasionally, but she, like, even looking in the mirror, I'm like, still got it. You know, like, those are the things I say. I have such good self talk,
Love it.
right? And like, so it's harder for me to work with someone who doesn't allow herself to come out of that. Like, if she is so nails into the board of I suck and nothing I do is good enough and I'm a perfectionist, and she holds on to those identities, I'm like, oh my God, this is so much harder than someone who is open. Because then, like, I have clients that are in their 50s and they're killing it,
Yeah.
leading international retreats for the first time, like 40 timing her income.
Cool.
You know, I'm thinking of specific people, but then I also have other people in that same age bracket who are still telling the same story.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not age. It's just, what are you willing to let go of in order to have the life you want?
Yeah. That's interesting because the storytelling, you know, the lies, that shitty itty bitty that you said it was,
Uh-huh.
you know, who's
Mhm.
there saying like, you did trade shows and they didn't work. You did
Oh, yeah, yeah.
you did reels and they didn't work. You did
Mhm.
this, that didn't work. And it's like, can you stop? Because maybe you were at a different spot and that's why it didn't work. Or maybe you didn't have the right tool or person beside you to support you, right? Like, and I think that, how many times have you tried the same thing in marketing and like it finally stuck?
Oh, that's all it is. It's a constant guessing game.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, in a sense where it's like, but if you have the belief that
Mhm.
no matter what you're doing, it's worth it. You know, you're learning what works, you're learning what doesn't work. You learn so much by doing. That's why the universal law of action is the number one way for you to be successful because you learn so much by doing the trade shows, by doing the reels, by doing the stories, by doing the sales pages, by only selling on social media, by only selling through email marketing. Like if you're continually guessing and experimenting, you will win eventually.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. That is so, like, let's get that quote,
Yes.
every office, because it's that doing. Like, you know, I had a podcast a few years ago and then stopped. And I'm like, well, who cares? Let's do it. Let's do it. It worked. I'm more clear. I'm
Yes.
energetically like pumped about it. It feels good. Where I'm not gonna lie, a few years ago I did it because holy fuck, everyone's doing it. And it's
Yeah.
like, you just you have to dive in. And it's funny, not funny about owning a marketing company because people will ask us, okay, well, will this work? That's the question we
That's
get.
a bad question.
And I'm like,
don't work with me if you ask that question.
well, exactly. And it puts us in a difficult, well, before boundaries, it would put us in a difficult position because I'd be like, well, of course it works. But then we'd get on some calls and there'd be that person who would say, like, well, I did this before and it didn't work. It's like, okay, here we
But then
go.
that's when you go, then like if someone said, will this work? I'd say, will it?
Yeah.
I put it right back on them because it's like an empowerment thing. It's like, you tell me.
Well, that's a wrap. That's the end. That's it. That's a beautiful, that's a beautiful question. It's like, will it work? And it goes back to, health coaching and weight loss and everything, right? Like
Everything.
everything. If you
And
don't,
that makes me sad for that person that asked me because I get it. Like I asked my doctor 3 years ago, I said, will mold kill me? I said, will this be the end? Like, am I going to die from this? And she said, no. And I was like, and her certainty, I was like, okay, it gave me that shred of hope that I needed. But that was like, it was like she had the science behind it. And in marketing, it's like there is 90% belief. If you believe that what you're investing in is going to work, it will.
and you said it a few minutes ago, like marketing is helping people. So when you look at everything you've done in your business, probably one of the core pieces was, is this helping myself and is this going to help someone else? Right? Like,
Yeah.
is this course program membership going to help? Does it excite me?
Mm-hmm.
Let's market it. Let's find the cool ways. And I think like watching what you've done and your level of creativity like is so real and so just it really is like I'm inspired by what you're posting and what you're creating and I look at it and I'm like you can feel and I know this sounds cheesy but you can actually feel I was reading your sales page and I'm like you can feel that this is her.
Yes.
Like, you can feel that this isn't a copy and paste or a swipe file. This is her and it aligns like with everything else you're doing. Um so if you could sort of leave everybody with something about marketing, what would that be?
I would say to let thing that you think that no one's going to like,
Mhm.
that would be the thing that you should be talking about, that you should be launching and stay away from the question of, should I do this?
Yeah.
It's so low energy and it's external serving instead of your offer has to internally serve you first. It has to excite you first. And you have to be willing to get into like a playful energy. Like you're just playing. If you realize that we're just in this matrix, we're just playing the whole time. That's all this is. It's just a big game. And it's like either the energy towards life is hard and, oh, it sucks. Or it's like gift, play, happiness, healing. And like, you can have all the elements of a genius offer, but if there's no energy to it, it won't sell.
Yeah.
Or it'll sell to like you'll have like a tiny, like a handful of people might buy. But if it's like all the people that just like check the boxes. Why isn't it selling? It's like, well, do you believe it that it's even going to sell? Well, no, because it's not. Well, let's go there. Yeah.
I love hearing you say play, because I think for a few years, a lot of people were not playing. And now you're seeing the people who are playing and being creative. And like, I have to mention it because I think you'll probably notice too, but Rachel Hollis is making a quote unquote playful comeback. She released a vlog and I was like, oh, watching from the outside, it's like she's playing.
I have not watched her at all since all the stuff went down.
Okay, so I hadn't either, and we don't have to get into it because it's like it is what it is, but something was calling me to look, and I hadn't looked in about 2-3 years, and I looked and was like, this is fun. Like,
yes.
And I barely listened to the message, and to be honest, but I was like, okay, this is playful. And that's what I think it takes when you're playing and when you don't care if other people are going to buy, subscribe, or like, or comment, you step into that space. So I'm so thankful that you said play and just, come from that space. And, I thank you so much for putting out everything that you've done. And I do want to hear a little bit about your new program because I didn't ask you and I was on the sales page and I want to hear it from you.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we did talk about it though.
Yeah.
Like where and I'm playing around with the time frame because so right now it's 9 months. It starts in September and I'm playing around with it because I'm like, this could be a 12-month program. This could be a shorter, there could be like a littler version, but for right now, it's a 9-month healing, like a money healing program where we're going to go into your money story like you've never gone before. Like you might have done a little bit of money work and you might have done some healing around some unconscious beliefs that you weren't even aware of, but it's reprogramming your brain to expect solutions and to expect wealth creation, not only in energy, but in your bank account where you're seeing it and where you're going to be safe with it, not just attracting it, but holding it, expanding it. And like you're used to a certain level and now it's time to see it rise.
I love that.